Hey, what's up, everybody? Jazzbro Gonzo here. Another episode of What's Next, your daily dose of common sense and facts. Excuse me. Happy Monday. Well, as you can probably see, I've got a new lid, and that is courtesy of my wife. You know, I normally wear traditional black, but she saw it. She thought I like it, and I like it too. But not about me. Sadly, over the weekend, a number of tragedies have occurred. And this is going to be the first of two videos in regards to this. And as always, you have those who had to make it political. They just couldn't leave well enough alone. Of course, they had to insert their narrative. Let's take a look. This comes out of Breitbart. Buffalo shooter targeted black neighborhood, officials say. The 18-year-old gunman, who authorities say killed 10 people at a Buffalo supermarket, had previously threatened a shooting at his high school and was sent for mental health treatment. Buffalo shooter targeted black neighborhood, officials said, Carolyn Thompson and Michael Balsamo, Associated Press. The white 18-year-old who fatally shot 10 people at Buffalo supermarket researched the local demographics and arrived a day in advance to conduct reconnaissance with the intent of killing as many black people as possible, officials said Sunday. The racially motivated attack came a year after a gunman was taken to the hospital by state police after making threats involving high school, according to authorities. So they knew something like this in advance, and they knew this kid could possibly snap. He wasn't charged with a crime at the time, but was out in the hospital within a day and a half, police said. But the revelation raised questions about his access to weapons and whether he could have been under close supervision by law enforcement. The Buffalo attack prompted grief and anger in a predominantly black neighborhood around Tops Friendly Market. A group of people gathered there Sunday afternoon to lead chants of Black Lives Matter and mourn victims that include 86-year-old woman who had just visited her husband in a nursing home and a supermarket security guard, both who were black. Quote, somebody filled his heart was so full of hate that he would destroy and devastate our community, Reverend Denise Walden Glenn said. Speaking at the National Peace Officers Memorial at the U.S. Capitol, President Joe DiMaggio, and we'll get to him shortly, we must all work together to address the hate that remains a stain on the soul of America. The White House later announced that the President and First Lady would travel to Buffalo on Tuesday to grieve with the community. The Buffalo attack was the deadliest of multiple shootings across the country in recent days. Officials in Missouri imposed a curfew after 21 people were injured in 3 separate shootings near an entertainment district where thousands gathered Friday for an NBA playoff game. 3 other shootings over the weekend in the Midwest city left 3 people dead. On Sunday, 2 shootings, one at a Houston flea market and another at a California church, which we will cover shortly, left 3 people dead and others wounded. Someone mentioned, and I saw that on my feed this morning, that Chicago had multiple shootings, which is the usual over a Chicago weekend. And yet no one calls that out because it doesn't fit the quote-unquote narrative. Now we go from that to this. This also comes out of Breitbart. Joe DiMaggio condemns Buffalo shooter as a racially motivated act of white supremes and violent extremism. President Joe DiMaggio reacted to the mass shooting in Buffalo, New York, Sunday, during a speech in D.C. 10 people at a grocery store were shot and killed by gunmen, and 3 others were wounded on Saturday before he surrendered to police. 11 other victims were black, 2 were white. New York Governor Kathy Hochul said the 18-year-old suspected gunman used an AR-15. Of course, we do not know that as yet. The president personally reacted to the shooting during a speech at National Peace Officers Memorial Service on Capitol Hill. He described the shooter as a lone gunman armed with weapons of war and hate-filled soul. We're still gathering the facts, but already the Justice Department has stated publicly that the matter is being posted as a hate crime. Biden continued, racially motivated act of white supremes and violent extremism. Biden described the racial hatred as a stain on the United States and called for change. We must all work together to address the hate that remains a stain on the soul of America, he said. Our hearts are heavy once again, but our resolve must never, ever waver. Now, I'm just going to go from that real quick to this. Remember Waukesha? This was the POS during a Christmas parade that ran over a whole bunch of people and yet somehow got memory hold. Gee, I wonder why. A little rehash. Victims of the Waukesha, Wisconsin Christmas parade terror attack say that the media had largely forgotten them because the attack didn't fit the buzzy narrative the New York Post reported at the time. Brief history. Authorities arrested suspect Darrell Brooks after he reportedly drove his SUV into a crowd of people at the Waukesha Christmas parade. The attack took the lives of at least 6 people, including an 8-year-old boy, and injured dozens more. Brooks, a hardened violent criminal, a registered sex offender whose Facebook page was once rife with anti-white sentiment, faced 6 counts of intentional homicide in connection with the attack. One, of course, as always, prayers and thoughts to the families, those affected in Buffalo. One, this is clearly a issue of white versus black. Simple. But we have to realize something here is that what I mentioned at the end of this regarding Waukesha is that that story got memory hold because it did not fit the narrative. And then you have Biden come out and throw around white supremes and what have you. Now, if this kid does have a history of racial incidents that led up to this, of course, as we know, because, of course, his mental history. But once again, the investigation is ongoing. And we cannot jump to conclusions as we saw Joe Dementia, sadly, do. But he's done this before. And once again, instead of letting the mourn, you have those pushing a political narrative because it suits them. And expect the media blitz today to reflect just that. And with that being said, I'm Jasper Gonzo. This is What's Next. I want to see more just like this. Please leave a comment below, like it, share it, subscribe to it. And we'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.